Welcome to a very special episode of Evidence Room Podcast. I'm your host, Scott Roeder, and I love you. Today we're going to be diving into some of the details, some of the weeds on the failure of the systems that be to release a free man from prison. And it's about the case of Christopher Dunn, and we now have... let's just jump right into it, folks. Here's an interview with Justin Bonus about what's going on. But dude, what is going on?
Right now, we had an emergency hearing yesterday at 3 p.m. in front of Judge Sennheiser, who did the hearing.
Okay. And
the judge ordered his immediate release. If he was not released by 6 p.m. The judge wanted the warden of the jail to report as soon as possible.
Wow.
Wow. For a contempt hearing.
Wow, they're going to hold the warden in contempt?
Yes, and so what happened from there was the AG then filed a writ to, the Court of Appeals in Missouri. The Court of Appeals denied the writ. This is all while we were driving down there to pick Chris up.
Yeah.
And they denied the writ.
Wow.
And then the Supreme Court granted the writ and stayed the proceedings for limited briefing. You just wanted to see some briefing.
Okay.
And wanted some limited briefing and to make a decision. It's going to be interesting. So the bottom line is this: is that the motion that was in front of Judge Sennheiser yesterday, was that there was a couple of motions. One by the circuit attorney Gabriel Gore, who essentially represents the state, right?
Right. He's who hired me to do my work and testify.
Right, exactly. Right. But he represents the state. He is the circuit attorney. He's the prosecutor for the city of St. Louis.
Right.
So he doesn't represent Chris, right?
Right.
He doesn't.
He represents the interests of the state of Missouri.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So he put the case on because he reinvestigated it. You were one of the experts that he hired. He hired Nancy Franklin. They spoke to many witnesses, actually, in their investigation, and he came to the conclusion that Christopher Dunn was innocent. So he moved the court. He put a motion in to vacate the conviction, had a hearing. The court, because of the way the rules are in Missouri, the court was able to then vet the evidence that he investigated and put in front of the court, and the court agreed with him.
Yes.
So the statute in Missouri allows the AG to participate. It does not say the AG is a party. Okay?
I see.
And so what happened was, our position was yesterday that the AG, let me back up just a slight bit. On Monday, the AG filed a notice of appeal and informed, and you can see this all over in the news, informed the warden of the prison to not release Chris. Okay, so
now let me ask you this: do you believe that's illegal?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a complete. The AG doesn't have a right or a stake in the case. I believe that's a civil, plain and simple. That's a civil rights violation.
Right.
The AG doesn't have the ability to willfully disregard an order. Court, mandating somebody's release. That's not their call. They're not a court. They're not a judge. So that was our position. They didn't have standing to do that. And that was what the argument was yesterday from both us, which would be Christopher Dunn, and the circuit attorney, which is that the notice of appeal. I can't really say the circuit attorney. I wouldn't say the circuit attorney, but us. The circuit attorney's position was that they didn't have a right to file an appeal and a notice of appeal. So the notice of appeal was invalid.
Right.
So that's kind of where we were. and it happened very quickly.
It reminds me of a foreign country that I was involved in on a criminal case, and that was South Africa, where at the trial he was found not guilty of murder and given a sentence that was relatively light, 3 to 5 years of community service, right? But then on appeal, the government said, no, that's wrong, and the government was able to get a more convicted, they were able to upgrade it to a murder and then sentence him to 10 years on appeal, which obviously that's not legal because the government only has one bite, at least in America, at the apple to prove guilt, right? So now, that's what this reminds me of in a way, in that your team, your group, the Attorney General for the state of Missouri, the current sitting Attorney General for the state of Missouri, Attorney Gabor, has won his case to vacate the sentence of Christopher Dunn, and now there are other forces coming in illegally to interfere with that. Is this Jim Crow era? What's going on? What's going on with this, Justin? Am I overstating my surprise? I mean, what?
No, I think everybody should be. I think everybody should be surprised. And the Attorney General, again, Gabriel Gore was the
right.
He's the circuit attorney.
Okay, he's the circuit attorney.
Gabe Gore.
Okay.
He's the circuit attorney.
Okay.
So when they charged Christopher Dunn and prosecuted him 34 years ago, it was the circuit attorney of St. Louis, the city of St. Louis, that prosecuted Chris and represented the state.
Right.
So Gabe Gore's role did not change in this, matter. He didn't represent Christopher Dunn. He represented the state.
Right. And that's an important point for everybody to understand here, is that the state of Missouri has vacated the sentence of Christopher Dunn. The state of Missouri says Christopher Dunn is not guilty, matter of fact, of murder. They're saying not only should he be set free, but that he's actually innocent of the crime demonstrably by the evidence. And now other powers are coming in illegally, potentially under sanction, potentially they could even be subject to their personal being arrested and sent to jail for this kind of, I would say, high-level legal conspiracy to violate the ruling by a sitting judge. Am I?
I don't want to go that far.
No, okay. But is there criminal behavior going on?
I mean,
it sounds like there's laws being broken. Whether they're criminal laws or civil laws, I don't know.
I know that a defense attorney would not be able to do what Attorney General is doing. Okay, so the Attorney General has, in my opinion, overstepped his bounds quite far.
Well, civilly, or did they overstep their bounds even to the level of criminally?
I mean, I think there's a civil rights violation here. I do think that is the case. I mean, again, the Supreme Court of Missouri wants to see more briefing.
With regard to whether or not they even have standing for an appeal?
Right, exactly.
Okay.
Whether the Attorney General has standing for an appeal.
Okay. But subject to that,
seems to me.
Subject to, and let's say that's fine. Okay, you're allowed. You're a lawyer. They have their interests. They can, if they have standing, to appeal this verdict. Then, doesn't it just make sense that Christopher Dunn should be free? Even if they do, what if they don't even have standing? Now he's being held illegally even more, being punished even more, psychologically being damaged even more, because he's got his bags packed. He's ready to go home. You guys are on the road to go get him.
He was basically at the front door.
Yeah. Wow.
So
I mean, that sounds so cruel to me.
I think it is.
Just as a human.
So yeah, he's psychologically it's torture. I mean, he is essentially, in my opinion, he's a hostage.
Wow. Yes.
He's a hostage.
Yes.
He's been. You have to understand too, Scott, that he's been. One judge found him innocent in 2020.
Yeah.
And he was told because of the law in Missouri that the judge held that Missouri precedent dictates that actual innocence does not apply to men that are serving a life sentence. It only applies to death row inmates.
Okay.
And so then Judge Shangheiser, there was a new law that was instituted that gave the
and just to back up that law, that's bullshit, right? I mean, just because you're living, just because you're not on death row, and you're proven actual innocence, that should also count, right?
Well, at the end of the day, you're going to die in prison, right?
Right.
It's a death sentence no matter what.
Yeah.
So, the Missouri created a law so that the local prosecutors could move to vacate convictions when they found that a defendant was either wrongfully convicted or that they were innocent.
Right.
And here, Gabe Gore found that Chris Dunn was innocent. He moved to vacate the conviction. No. He followed the law. He did everything that he was supposed to do.
Now, let me ask you a question. Just because he's found innocent, does that also automatically mean, and I would think not, but I just want your legal opinion, that it was a malicious prosecution and false imprisonment?
Well, I don't want to get into all that right now.
I'm just curious.
That would be down the road. We'd have to take a look at that.
Okay, that's for later evaluation.
Right. I mean, but
But this certainly shows bad faith.
Listen, what it does mean is you have two judges that have said that this man is innocent.
Yeah.
Two. Okay, and one judge that ordered his immediate release.
Yeah, and that was this judge.
That was this judge.
Yes.
Judge Jason Sang.
So he took a long time to come to this decision. I mean, this hearing was May 20. It wrapped up on May 22nd, 23rd, something like that. And
yes, 22nd.
Yeah, so it's been 2 months.
Yeah.
And so he was very deliberate. It's not like he came to this decision quickly. He
wrote a 37-page decision. It's very sound and well thought out. And
we're going to put that 37-page paper, his decision, out onto my YouTube page, so that everybody can read it for themselves if they want to read it. I think the judge was very sound in his. Obviously, he took this very deliberately, step by step. And he really broke down, the law and the evidence. And he said, immediately release this man.
Right.
And now you're in another battle. How long do you think this is going to take to resolve this issue?
Hard to say.
Days?
Hard to say. We're working
weeks,
on it.
months? Years?
It could. I don't know yet. That's what we're working on. We're working on responding to their papers. So...
Wow.
That's what we're doing.
That's amazing. I tell you what, Justin, you, ever since I got the chance to meet you, I've been extremely impressed with you. You are a man of good standing in your community. You are a man who is strongly relies on his faith in God. You fight
Amen.
For people that are being oppressed, and the chance that even though that I got to play a small role in this process, I think I grew as an expert and a person, most importantly, for getting a chance to work with you and the team on this case. And I really will say a prayer to God right now that Christopher becomes free like he should have been all of these decades. And and we're only this close to the finish line because of guys like you and the Midwest Innocence Project. So, from everybody out here, who are involved in some way, or just outsiders who are interested in the subject, I think we all owe you a gratitude. So thank you for that effort.
I appreciate that. I say don't thank me though. I'm just a tool. Thank the Lord. He's the carpenter. You heard? I mean, that's the number one thing I have to say about
Amen.
that. I mean, he used you, to really encapsulate how dark it was that night, and that helped, I think, even the identification expert to be able to evaluate the reliability of the identifications. Not just the darkness, but also the circumstances surrounding the shooting itself. The positioning of the shooter, the positioning of the individuals, when they actually, testified that they looked and allegedly saw the shooter, like all of those things played a part, and you were able to lay that out. And I think you bolstered the evidence with Chris immensely. So you definitely were used as a tool. Everybody was. I have to say that God used everybody here, including the judge. And it's just one more step that we have to get through, one more battle we have to fight. God willing, it's going to be sooner rather than later. Hopefully it'll be next week. But
yeah, hopefully, and
right.
And you know what? Absolutely, 100%. We are all used in a way that that God wants us to be used, and
right.
None of us are perfect. We all ask for forgiveness for all the things that we do wrong in our lives, but to maintain that path forward and to have some conviction, it makes me feel good, Mr. Bonus, that that I've got a path to follow when it comes to that. And anytime you need me in the future, I'm right there, brother. I'm right there with you.
Thank you. It shows us too is how flawed people are.
We are all flawed. Yes.
Right, and how the system is run by people, and that's why people like the Attorney General's office can do what they want to do because they're wicked. That is the actions by the Attorney General here. People need to understand that he's a prosecutor. Andrew Bailey, that's his name. He is a prosecutor, and a prosecutor's obligation is to seek justice. It is not to defend a conviction.
Yeah.
It's to seek justice.
Yes.
That is his professional responsibility.
Yeah.
He is acting outside of that right now. And it's a travesty of justice.
Well, it's about the truth, and
right.
and unfortunately, the truth gets in the way of people's jobs, egos, reputations, and the legitimacies of the systems in which they operate.
Is got to accept what the evidence is.
Right, and then but this prosecutor, his job is for justice, not to defend a loss.
Yeah, true, 100% true.
Yeah, man. Well, I really appreciate it, Justin. Thank you very much. We'll be checking in with you soon. I guess hopefully let me know what's going on as it develops.
I will. I'll keep you posted.
All right, brother. I'll talk to you later.
All right, man.
All right,
talk to you later. Bye-bye.
All right, folks. Well, say a prayer out there that the forces that be, for the forces of good, win out in this case, and Christopher Dunn gets to go home. So make sure you say a prayer out there for you, for Mr. Dunn, as I'm going to tonight. And anyway, folks, that's all I have for you today. Thanks for checking in, and we'll see you next time. All right, bye.